and do it this way. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my webinar. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes. Hi, everyone. Happy holidays. Welcome to Dietitian in Your Kitchen. I'm Laura Poland. I'm a registered dietitian and with our group, and I'm excited to present to you today a free webinar for the holiday season. I know a lot of us might be thinking about we need a little bit of structure to our diets right now, and so we thought we'd explore fad diets today, such as, or special diets such as keto, paleo, and intermittent fasting. So I'm going to have you take a poll for me. Just a real quick yes or no. Have you ever tried a diet? I'm going to publish that poll right now. Give you a couple minutes to answer that. And today we're going to go through dieting and what is beneficial. As you answer that, let me go to my next slide here. And we will talk about the objectives for tonight, which are to review the claims and compare to what the body needs when we're talking about keto, paleo, intermittent fasting, and Whole30. We're going to learn nutrition detection tips. What are some reputable sources for your nutrition information? Explore motivation techniques. Hopefully free yourself from the pressure to explore weight loss diets that deprive us and beat us down with our self-esteem. We'll learn a better way to achieve a healthy lifestyle while maintaining a healthy relationship with food. So thank you so much. Okay, just so I know my audience, I was throwing it out there. Have you ever tried a diet before? And it looks like we'll close the poll now. 100%. Everyone that's on the call right now has tried a diet before. So thank you so much for answering that. And so tonight, feel free to ask questions in the chat box. Your video is not on, your microphone is muted. But if you do have questions, feel free to chat with me. I think I'm also going and streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, hopefully. Fingers crossed if that's going correctly. And so if you have any questions and you're online there, I will get back to those and answer those once the video or the live webinar is finished. All right, so let's talk about what a fad diet is. All right. A fad diet is simply a stylish weight loss plan that promotes dramatic results. Typically, these diets are not healthy and don't result in a long-term weight loss. In fact, some diets can actually be dangerous to our health. Sorry. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay, next slide. There we go. When someone needs to lose weight, there is no shortage of advice out there. Am I right? With all the focus of weight in our society, it isn't surprising that millions of people fall prey to fad diets and bogus weight loss products that are out there. Conflicting claims, testimonials, and hype by so-called experts can confuse even the most informed consumer. Sometimes I even feel like, oh, that'd be awesome. The bottom line is simple. If a diet or product sounds too good to be true, it probably is. There are no foods or pills that magically burn fat. I'm so sorry. It's, no superfoods will alter your genetic code. No products will miraculously melt fat while you sleep. But, we want to believe that because we really want the weight off. So let's talk about how to spot fad diets. Typically, what I see is that they'll say there's a rapid weight loss that's possible. So slow, steady weight is more likely to last than dramatic weight changes. And I know we don't want to hear that, but think about it. How many times have you tried a weight loss diet where you maybe had some really good success in the beginning and you were losing weight really quickly, but then once you went off of it or changed it a little bit or didn't quite follow it at 100%, a lot of weight came back on, and then maybe it all came back. And most of the time I'm hearing that it came back even more. All right, so health plans anything that aims for a weight loss of more than 1 pound for women or 2 pounds for men per week is something that I would be cautious about. Let me just say here, there are apps out there that ask you, well, how much weight do you want to lose? It should never ask a woman if they want to lose 2 pounds per week. All right. We're going to talk about how many calories equal a true weight loss pound. But I can tell you that if you are trying to lose 2 pounds of weight a week, that means you're actually creating a 1,000 calorie deficit per day. And I don't know if you understand a whole lot, anybody on this call, like how many of us understand truly how much how many calories it takes to lose weight and how many calories we burn in a day. Most of us are burning somewhere between or needing somewhere around 2,000 calories for maintenance per day. And so it's very, very difficult to give up 2 pounds per week for a woman. Men have a higher metabolic rate, so it is possible, but honestly, I recommend most of us try to lose about a pound a week. So anyway, what happens if you do lose weight quickly? Many times what you're losing is muscle mass. You could be losing bone mass, and you could most likely in a lot of cases you're losing water weight. So it'll seem great and but it's not going to last. And it'll be detrimental to your metabolic rate in the long run. So and this is basically what I'm saying is you'll regain the weight back on. The second thing to look out for when you're trying to spot if it's a fad diet or not is if they're looking at quantities and limitations. You want to ditch diets that allow unlimited quantities of food such as grapefruit and cabbage soup. It's boring to eat the same food over and over again, and it's hard to stick with monotonous plans. Also, avoid any diet that eliminates or severely restricts entire food groups, such as grains. Even if you take a multivitamin, you'll still potentially be missing out on critical nutrients that our body gets when we eat grains. Also, look for specific food combinations. Are they telling you that you have to combine some food with another food, or maybe not eat foods, certain foods at certain times? There really is no evidence to support that combining certain foods or eating foods at specific times of day will help us with weight loss. Eating the wrong combination of food doesn't cause you to burn fat immediately, or it doesn't promote toxins in your intestines, as some plans out there do claim. All right, rigid menus. Life is already complicated enough. Limiting food choices and following rigid meal plans can be overwhelming and distasteful. With a new diet, always ask yourself, can I eat this way for the rest of my life? If the answer is no, that plan may not be for you. And that was my cat sneezing in the background, in case that got picked up for you guys. And then finally, if a fad diet tells you that there's no need to exercise, regular exercise is essential for good health and for healthy weight management. The key to success is to find physical activities that you enjoy and then aim for 30 to 60 minutes of physical activity on most days of the week. All right. There are different fad diet types out there, and I wanted to go through these and talk about a few examples of some of them. I just noticed my carbohydrates and some of my words are cut off there. Sorry about that. The first one is controlled carbohydrates. These diets are, of course, your Atkins, the ketogenic diet, the keto diet, the carbohydrate addicts diet, protein power, sugar busters, and even the zone. Those are diets that are trying to control carbohydrates. We also have intermittent fasting. This type of diet is out there. I really don't see any play on that yet, but for the most part, we're talking about intermittent fasting in general. There's low fat diets out there, which are actually higher carbohydrates. That's your Dean Ornish, eat more, weigh less, the good carbohydrate revolution, and it's sometimes you've also in blast from the past might have heard of the Pritikin principle. Those are your low-fat diet approaches. Food combining, these are those diets that I was talking about that talk about if you combine certain foods. Those are your Fit for Life and Suzanne Somers summer sizing. I think a lot of us maybe don't know who Susan Somers is anymore, but I do. I'm old enough, so. And then finally, the liquid diets, or sorry, not finally, I've got two more. The liquid diets, which are the Cambridge diet, Slim Fast, OptiFast, Optavia. Optavia technically isn't all liquid, but because they actually have, you can do some foods instead of a liquid, but it's basically the same thing. They're actually very low calorie diets. And finally, diet pills and herbal remedies, such as dexatrin, natural hydroxycut, Metabolife 356. Those are all kind of where they're trying to sell you a supplement or herbal remedy that's going to help you with that weight loss. All right. Popular fad diets that are out there right now. Please note, there are so many diets out there. I couldn't possibly discuss them all. So I chose the diets based on popularity and consensus recently. So let's discuss a few of these in a little more detail. You can see on here, it's everything from Paleo, Whole30, green smoothie, cleanses, any kind of cleanse, the military diet, there's an HMR diet out there, ketogenic diet, and intermittent fasting. Now, a lot of these diets get rated every year by US News and World Report. Their star ratings reflect a score of 1 to 5 assigned to each in 7 categories. And this is rated by dietitians, specialists in diabetes and heart disease, and other diet experts that rate them for the panel for US News. So let's start with intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting, this one truly is gaining a lot of popularity. There are many proposed benefits to intermittent fasting. So I wanted to kind of start with this one because it is kind of interesting and it's newer, so we're still researching it quite a bit. Each study that I reviewed showed that it does have good results for weight loss. It can improve insulin sensitivity and decrease your risk for cardiovascular disease through improved cholesterol and blood pressure levels. Some studies also showed cognitive benefits, cognitive performance through increased production of neurons that have protective effects against neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, Huntington's disease, and traumatic injury. Because of these claims and more, many studies suggest that intermittent fasting has the potential to lengthen our lifespan. Sounds great, right? The caveat here is that most of the research that's been done so far has been limited to animals, specifically rats. And so the majority of human studies only evaluate weight loss, not the long-term effects or focus on specific food groups yet. So I think the jury's out on this one a little bit. But the proposed benefits they are basing this on so far were on human or animal studies, not human studies. Now, I have heard a few convincing testimonials from people who have done intermittent fasting diet. So basically you can see what it is here on my slide. It basically involves giving yourself a period of fast, a 12-hour fast, a 16-hour fast. Alternate days fasting consists of a feed day where individuals eat whatever they want and a fast day where they consume only 25% of their intake. So there's a lot of variety as to how you interpret and how you can go about this intermittent fasting. There's also the 5-2 plans where individuals eat normally 5 days a week and eat only 500 or 600 calories on the other 2 days. And on those days, they would be focusing on protein, healthy fats, and vegetables. So people lose weight and claim to feel amazing. I'm not surprised by this, or by the fact that you would lose weight when you're limiting the hours that you're allowed to eat. Anytime you're putting a restriction on there, that is potentially going to help you with decreasing calories and controlling calories. Honestly, most all of us are technically on an intermittent fasting diet because we sleep for, at night, or if you're a shift worker, maybe you sleep. But generally, we have a long period of time where we're sleeping during the day and we're not obviously eating. So it's like, yeah, I think most of us are going to fast every day, and I think that's maybe a good thing. But I get a little concerned with some of these that are like the 500 and 600 calorie a day plans. So those are the ones that I'd like to see some more research on there. So, but it's promising. It's promising. The ketogenic diet. This has been referred to by many different names: ketogenic, low carb diet, low carb, high fat. This diet originally was used for seizure control in certain medical situations. And so it's been around for a really long time. I learned about it in school when I was becoming a dietitian, and we used it for primarily a lot of times kids who had significant seizures. We were able to actually control those seizures by putting them on a ketogenic diet. It is not fun though. All right, so let's see. First, I want to point out with this diet, your body's preferred fuel source is carbohydrates. All right, when that isn't available, which is the case in a ketogenic diet, the body will produce ketones. That's the name of the diet, which then serve as the fuel source that we need to have. When you eat something that's high in carbs, your body will produce glucose and insulin. With the keto diet, the body produces ketones in the liver, which are used for our energy source. Bodies are incredible. They are really adaptive to what you do to it and what you put into it. When you overload it with fats and take away carbohydrates, it will begin to burn the ketones as your primary source of energy. But this is a backup plan. This is meant to be a backup plan. It's a really good thing that your body can do this for periods that you might need to starve and, beyond your control, like if you were in a car accident or something like that. So the glucose is the easiest molecule for your body to convert and use as energy. So it will be chosen over any other energy source that's available to it. Insulin is what is produced to process glucose in your bloodstream, and that helps get it to everywhere it needs to be in the body. Since glucose is being used as the primary energy, your fats are not needed, and therefore they get stored. Typically on a normal higher carbohydrate diet, the body will use glucose as the main form of energy. By lowering your intake of carbs, the body is induced into that state which produces the ketosis, or what's called ketosis. It's a natural process, like I mentioned, to help survive when food intake is low. All right, so the end goal of a properly maintained keto diet is to force your body into this metabolic state. We don't do this through starvation of calories, but starvation of carbohydrates. And it ends up working because ultimately, if your diet is made up of 65% fat, only 30% protein, and less than 5% carbohydrate, then generally we're not going to eat enough calories in a day. It's really, even though you think I could eat bacon, you're not going to eat that much bacon in a day to equal your calorie needs. All right, so you're going to create a calorie deficit. That is how it works. So when you're forced into this state, we tend to think that a lot of times that it's a high protein diet, but actually to get truly into ketosis, you can't eat a lot of protein either. So I think a lot of people out there are doing the keto diet wrong and they're not quite getting to keto. And so what happens is when you don't quite get into keto, you actually run the risk of losing more muscle mass because your body actually starts looking for other energy sources. And so it's going to actually break down muscle mass. So if you're trying to work out and strength train while you're on a keto diet and you're, kind of maybe not doing this exactly as you should, you are probably wasting your time in the gym at the time because you're not going to be able to put on muscle mass because your body's actually breaking down muscle mass with this diet. All right, so basically there have been many, many studies of the keto diet. I have not seen enough reliable studies for this approach to consider it to be a really good option for a long-term lifestyle. Just an extra piece of bread or fruit will take your body out of ketosis, like I mentioned. And when you don't have that 100% compliance, you are at risk for losing your muscle mass. So not a good idea. So generally speaking, I find this type of diet just extremely difficult to follow. So let's talk about the paleo diet. The paleo diet, the aim of this is it may include weight loss and maintenance and prevention for control of many diseases of our civilization, so such as type 2 diabetes and heart disease. The claim is you'll live a healthier, fitter, disease-free life if you follow paleo. The theory is that our highly processed, carb-obsessed eating pattern is the culprit behind many of our biggest health ills. So why not go way back to the Paleolithic period of more than 10,000 years ago when our diet wasn't full of junk food and pasta. Paleo advocates say we should eat what we ate when we were hunting and gathering animals, proteins, and plants. That's what we should be eating. Animal proteins and plants. So the kind of the health and nutrition behind it, this diet is scored on the US News and Report that I mentioned. The score out of 5 is a 2.3. Not very high. In fact, I'll give you we'll talk about this, but it's one of the lowest diets rated out there. Basically, slapping the diet with multiple low scores, the experts couldn't accept that entire food groups like dairy and grains are excluded, making it hard for dieters to get all the nutrients that your body needs. It's one of the few diets that experts actually considered somewhat unsafe and only somewhat completely nutritional. So I would highly caution you against the paleo diet. Next, let's look at the Whole30. The aim here with the Whole30 is to reset your body, identify food groups that disagree with it, and treat medical conditions. Weight loss is almost always an added bonus. The claim for Whole30 is that it's not a diet, that weight loss plan or quick fix. It's designed to change your life. The founders say that eliminating cravings, rebalancing hormones, curing digestive issues, improving our metabolic conditions, and boosting energy and immune function. You will find food freedom from poor eating habits and transform how you think about food, your body, and your life. The theory here is that all sorts of physical and mental health issues, ranging from acne to depression to allergies, could be due to your diet. But you can't know which foods are to blame for all that ails you unless you cut out traces of sugar, alcohol, grains, dairy, and legumes for 30 days. By day 31, you'll be free from your food fog and may not even miss your nightly wine ritual or morning muffin fix. If and when you reintroduce food groups, your body's reaction will tell you which food groups to stay out of your life, or at least remain limited. So again, there's no independent research on these claims that they're making for this diet. It's nonsensical, it's extreme, and it's restrictive. So the slams against Whole30 came in strong from the panelists on the news report, and it tied with the raw food diet as one of the worst for healthy eating. So again, like I mentioned, the Whole30 and Paleo tend to be the worst at the bottom of the list of US News and Report every year. All right. So I thought I'd throw this in because I kind of did an update to this presentation. And oh, I'm sorry, my slides are a little not formatted correctly. And my picture's missing here. Basically, it's, think of a contortionist. This is the Flexitarian plan. The Flexitarian plan is and this is actually listed at the top of the report. This is one of the better diets for weight loss that they recommend. Flexitarian is a marriage of two words, flexible and vegetarian. The term was coined more than a decade ago by a registered dietitian, Dawn Jackson Blattner, in her 2009 book, The Flexitarian Diet, the mostly vegetarian way to lose weight, be healthier, prevent disease, and add years to your life. Basically, Blattner says that you don't have to eliminate meat completely to reap the health benefits associated with vegetarianism. You can be a vegetarian most of the time, but still enjoy a burger or a steak when the urge hits. By eating more plants and less meat, it's suggested that people who follow the diet will not only lose weight, but can improve their overall health, lowering their rate of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer, and live longer as a result. Becoming flexitarian is about adding 5 food groups to your diet, not taking anything away. These are new meat, like non-meat proteins, beans, peas, eggs, fruits and vegetables, whole grains, dairy, and seasoning are all encouraged in this diet. Again, this is at the top of the recommendations from the report. And the thing I like about this is that it includes all food groups and the focus is on a healthy relationship with food. If you think about what we said to look for before, none of that is happening. It's not saying you have to buy anything special. It's not saying that you have to eliminate anything. So I just kind of wanted to throw that into the plans that we were looking at so that you could understand what would be a better approach. All right. Oh, sorry, this is cutting my up. Is the source reputable? All right, there's a big problem with the everyone is a nutrition expert complex. This includes your airbrush celebrities promoting fad diets or non-certified nutritionists providing misleading information, a journalist with no training in nutritional science basing headlines on misreported research. In most countries, dietitian is a legally protected term. For a qualified health professional, this is true in the United States, mostly. In the United States, basically, nutritionist is the unprotected term. So unfortunately, anyone can actually call themselves a nutritionist, whether they have been to university or not, which is confusing and frustrating for qualified dietitian nutritionists. As with any claim, it's important to think about whether the author could have a specific agenda, maybe a conflict of interest, or whether their personal beliefs rather than good quality evidence could be driving their claims. Dr. Oz. So that's how you can kind of start realizing and understanding the source of your information. And that's why most dietitians, we hear it all the time, people call us nutritionists, but honestly, all dietitians are nutritionists, but not all nutritionists are dietitians. So it's kind of something that can make some dietitians crazy. All right, so let's look out for some nonsensical red flags. And again, sorry about the formatting issues here. All right, before we do that, I'm going to put up another poll. So, what do you look for when you're trying to detect nutritional nonsense? All right, the choices are detox claims, one diet fits all, conspiracy theories, or all of the above. You guys are fast. Give you a second here. Take a sip. Okay, so far it's unanimous, and I'm going to close the poll. All of the above. Good job, everyone. All right, so some of the things that I recommend looking out for is detox claims. So, and you could probably have told by my slide, you know, things like a tea detox or juice detoxes. Your body has organs that have its own systems that remove toxins. Your liver, your kidneys. Detox will not have any impact on your ability, your liver or kidneys' ability to work. So stop with the detox. That's a red flag. I immediately shut down and just don't even go there. One diet fits all advice. You know, not taking into account specific medical conditions or psychological or social factors that are important to you is just, it's going to make that diet hard to apply to your life. So one size fit all is a definite red flag for me. Well as a conspiracy focus, you know, the dairy industry or big pharma are out to get us. So don't listen to the mainstream nutrition advice that's out there, which is that there's no reason to avoid dairy. I hear that a lot. So and the other thing is an anti-medical focus. So some diets that would rather, they'd rather you follow that diet than take some medical treatment. And such as like the alkaline diet, I don't know if you've heard of anything like that, those pH blood diets, rather than doing, you know, they have no impact on what you're doing. Anti-medical. There's no such thing as having any effect on your blood pH. Your body regulates your blood pH, and if it's not doing its job, you are in the ER. So nothing you can do with your diet will have an impact on your blood pH. And secondly, a lot of the other ones that I hear about is eating alkaline foods. That has no impact on the body and the way the body works. So be aware of any kind of anti-medical focus to claims. Encouraging mega doses of vitamin and mineral supplements. So cocktails of vitamins or minerals for optimal nutrition without a specific medical reason to be having that supplement. Supplement sales are billion-dollar industries, and these people are making a lot of money. So be careful. Finally, demonizing certain foods. So the hashtag clean eating suggests that all processed foods are not clean, whereas there are plenty of healthy processed foods, such as canned chickpeas or frozen vegetables. Those are processed, but they're very healthy for us. So that demonizing can have that impact, which makes us have a negative relationship with food. So those are the types of things that I would caution you to, that would be a red flag. Does anybody have any questions? I don't see any in the chat. If you have any, don't hesitate to ask them. I will keep checking on that. All right, so some detective tips. If you're going to be a nutrition detection tip, I've got some tips for you. Even a reliable source can make some false claims. So examining the actual evidence is the most important step to ruling out if it sounds like it might be nonsense. If you want to examine the research yourself, here are some of the main points to check. Number one, does the media headline actually match the findings of the evidence that it's reporting about? For you, this could be looking up the author's results and conclusion. These days, most everything is online, and usually it's hyperlinked to their resources, so you can always go in and see if you can see the study itself. It's especially important also to check whether the results were statistically significant or not. So they may have results, but maybe it was a really small study. They were looking at 5 people. Well, that's kind of not a very strong study. Secondly, is the story reporting results of just one study? It would be rare for a single study to contain enough evidence to change nutrition advice. So it's important to take a look at the wider context of research to see where the study fits in. What type of study was it? Randomized controlled trials are the most reliable because they show that a result is due to a specific cause. Additionally, if the study is done by a blinded control group, that means the participants don't know they are receiving, whether they're receiving the treatment or a placebo. If the researchers also don't know, that's called a double-blind study. And those are good studies, and also we want to see that those are actually also replicated and produce the same effects in future studies. The strongest evidence to prove an overall claim comes from studies called systematic reviews, which summarize the main body of evidence in relation to specific questions in a methodical way. So they're looking at including studies, and then if you kind of go across the board, you know, the idea is the bigger the study and the bigger the result, the bigger, if you can pool studies together, you can show better results. Larger studies produce more statistically reliable results. And then finally, you know, a couple more things. One, was the study carried out in a lab, in animals, or was it a human study? That's huge. We can't assume that something that works for an animal, like a rat, is going to behave the same way in a human body. So it's a good place to start, but we need to know what happens to humans. Was the study, and then what are the limitations? Often the ethical and practical reasons studied related to dietary intake can have limitations. For example, self-reported intake of what a person has eaten in a day. That 24-hour recall, I know I can't remember sometimes what I ate the day before. So, you know, they can be wildly inaccurate. And also, nobody lives in a vacuum. There can be confounding factors involved and happening at the same time. So, you know, keep in mind, that's what we're looking for with research, is we want it to have longevity. We want to be able to see it repeated. Right, so motivation techniques for weight loss. Here are some questions that I suggest you ask, like a dietitian or a doctor. Doctors don't always get a lot of nutrition education, unfortunately, but some do, and some really seek it out. But things to think about is, how do you know if a diet, whatever it is safe or right for you? If you're thinking about doing some of these diets, you know, maybe talk about it with a doctor or a dietitian and see if that's going to be a good thing for you, because they know kind of a little bit more about what those diets are and what they're like, and whether or not that would be a good fit for you. If fad diets are bad, what kind of diet could you do for weight loss? And think about diet mentality. Diets are meant to be short term. I challenge you to focus on a long-term approach for weight loss, a lifestyle approach. I always say diet is a 4-letter word. So I like to think about it as there's no one size that's going to fit you, right? So the next step is, how do you become motivated for something long term? Let's take a look at some motivational techniques. First, we need to kind of think about our attitude. What is your attitude? So actually, I want to do another poll. Let's do a quick poll here. I want to know, true or false, setting up realistic expectations. It takes 3,500 calories to equal 1 pound of weight. Is that true or false? What do you think? It's okay to just take a guess. Okay, so I'm going to publish that poll. Sorry. There you go. You guys can all see it now. So is that true or false? 3,500 calories to equal a pound. All right. Okay. Oh, good job. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. 100% you all were right. It's true. It takes 3,500 calories to equal a pound of weight. Think about that in terms of your motivation. It's difficult. It takes time. So when you go on something like a keto diet, it actually, first thing it does, if you're new to it or you go on a low carb diet, your body will start going through your carbohydrate stores that we naturally will store carbohydrate, because remember I said carbohydrates are your body's preferred fuel source. And so what happens is the body is, you know, the body is actually going through carbohydrate stores, and what happens is that is bound and kept in our body with water or fluid. And so you're losing a lot of fluid on a low carb diet when you first start off. So it's great and it feels so good because you're seeing results on the scale, and we got to work on that like scale. We'll talk about that in a minute. But just because you're losing weight on the scale, and if it's fluid weight, if you're not creating a 3,500 calorie deficit, all of those pounds are probably more likely water pounds, not true weight pounds. And so anytime you start eating carbohydrates again, guess what happens? Your body will then replenish the carbohydrate stores, and what it does, it has to bind it into that storage with water. And so we gain a lot of weight back once we kind of cheat on our diet or we go off of the diet. And then we get really beat up and low self-esteem because we think, oh my gosh, I failed. But it's really just the way the body actually works and what we expect to see happen. So let's talk about attitude. It turns out that the key to losing and keeping weight off isn't simply a matter of what you eat or how much you exercise. Part of it is your attitude. Lasting weight loss is a slow process, and it's all too easy to give up before you reach your goal. So set up realistic expectations. With the right tools, your chances of diet success can be greatly improved. Okay. So I love this slide, is just how things look with your attitude. If you have a good attitude, things can look pretty nice, but with a bad attitude, then it doesn't look so good. So let's kind of think about your attitude and check your attitude. All right. So next, let's talk about what works for you. Analyze where you are right now and make small changes that fit your lifestyle. Consideration of individual lifestyles is important to building motivation to change and achieve your goals. If you eat meals from the home most days, it wouldn't be a realistic goal to expect 100% shift towards eating mostly meals prepared at home. However, it can be useful for starting with a smaller focus, such as targeting the meal that is most often consumed away from the home. Motivation to move towards this goal may be determined by your ability to obtain healthy foods and prepare them at home, or incorporate meal prep into your current schedules, and planning around special events. These are the things that are going to help you from carrying out that goal that you've set. So, identification and of environmental and social support. Accountability via face-to-face or phone conversation programs with professionals is another guideline for weight loss treatment. A dietitian or a doctor can provide support and accountability for you. Most of the time can be spent reviewing food logs, physical activity reports, or problem-solving barriers of past goals and setting short-term goals for moving closer to your long-term goals. This self-monitoring strategies mentioned previously provide accountability to those losing weight via self-reflection of recorded eating and physical activity patterns. This can be done with weekly meetings with the professional, weekly weigh-ins, monitoring self-check-in tools such as food logs and step counts. Groups also can be very beneficial, group meetings and online discussions. Our behavior is driven by personal, behavioral, and environmental factors, of which education is only a small piece. Health knowledge is important for change, but for sustained change, people must build their confidence through experience and skills such as self-monitoring and problem solving, and finally, goal setting. People learn and repeat behaviors by observing others, which is why motivation through social networks can be important into long-term success here. You got to put the right people around in your social circle, though. There are different forms of social support, such as partnering with a friend or a family member to help you work towards your common goals, participating in a group to get the support of one's peers, or even engaging virtually through online forums. With consistency, you can become conditioned to reproduce your behaviors and form new habits. All right, so lifestyle. What does success look like for you? Okay. The most successful weight loss plans combine diet, exercise, and behavioral therapy. Studies demonstrate that dieting alone isn't enough to promote sustained change, pointing to the need for treatment approaches such as maybe there's, intensive behavior therapy in combination with education and dietary patterns, physical activity recommendations as well that fit into your lifestyle. So number one, let's identify problem areas. So identify your problem area. Oh, sorry, right here. Every person has different situations, so the approach of losing weight depends on you. The first step is to identify what's going on. Are you doing something that's making weight gain more likely? Some of these behaviors, if you start keeping track, might be that you're eating too many foods and beverages with added sugar or added fat. Added solid fats are more of an issue. Eating too many refined grains, eating big portions, skipping meals, eating a lot of meals away from home, maybe grazing all day on high calorie snacks. Maybe you're frequently drinking high calorie coffee drinks or juice drinks or regular sodas. Or maybe it's the alcohol, consuming too much alcohol. Eating for emotional reasons. Eating in front of a screen, and so you're kind of not paying attention to what you're doing. Food records are very helpful to you and to your dietitian or whoever's helping you to determine your problem areas. All right. So keeping track, no one has control over everything, but we do have control over how much we pay attention to what we eat and how we eat. Studies show people who self-monitor their meals lose more weight and keep it off. The most successful losers tend to weigh themselves about once a week. If you get depressed or angry to see the scale stay the same or even go up, the scale may make or break your weight loss efforts. And weighing may be, I would recommend, less often for you. Focus on small changes that you are making. Maybe don't weigh in as much and focus on those other things, like how you're feeling, or is your energy level better? Those types of things. Are your portions getting under control? It's not all just about the scale. And there's a few reasons for that, because if you watch the scale every day, the scale fluctuates up to 4 pounds per day for anybody, generally speaking. It could be even higher, could be lower, but on average, we fluctuate about 4 pounds in one day. If you have a day where you ate more sodium, that could be causing some fluid retention. So weighing yourself at the same time each time with the same amount of clothes really will help you to eliminate some of that fluctuation. And I honestly recommend not weighing yourself more than about once a week. Try to get the scale so it's not just all about the scale. So keeping track can be as easy as like having a spiral notebook, taking pictures with a camera, using apps. There are several free apps out there: Lose It, iHealth, Fujicate, My Plate. My Plate calorie tracker is really nice, and then MyFitnessPal, of course. One thing I don't like about MyFitnessPal is it lets women say they want to lose 2 pounds a week, and we don't want that. We only want about a 1 pound a week weight loss goal. Oh, sorry. All right. So making changes, ultimately the best way to lose weight is to change habits that are causing the extra weight, right? For the best results, you want to pick one habit at a time to change, because what we want is you to focus on making that a habit so that that is going to be sustained. So once you do lose weight, you're able to maintain that weight loss. So you pick one habit at a time. For example, try switching sweets and treats and focusing on, having it once a day instead of after every meal or snack, or however often you might be doing it. Maybe cut out fried foods or only eat out once a week. Replace those old habits with new habits. Focus on, for most of my observations, is we need to focus on what we need to include in our diet. We need more fruits and vegetables. So maybe tell yourself a goal of having a fruit or a vegetable at every meal or snack. Or maybe try a new exercise class. So making changes can be hard and does take time. So I am excited to tell you, I am starting a 3-month program. For those of you who might not have a dietitian or are interested in working with a dietitian, I'm starting a group program in January. We're going to help you establish a lifestyle you can live with, one goal at a time. What you can expect is we'll do weekly live group sessions. We're going to focus on that one habit at a time, get support from the dietitian. You'll also see that other people are probably also struggling with the same things and wanting to work towards a healthy lifestyle. I'm going to partner everybody up with accountability partners so that you can actually support an individual in the program as well. We're going to do a healthy habit assessment at the beginning so you know where to start, and you'll know after that, like the goals and the recommendations that I recommend. And then we will have you set weekly goals. You'll send them to me every week during the 3 months, and I will give you some oversight and some suggestions and check in with you then the next week and see how you're doing. Actually, I'm going to go to this one. So as part of the program, if you start the class, if you join now, join today, even though it doesn't start until January 10th, you will have access to my nitty-gritty of nutrition, which is an on-demand program. It's $119 value, and that's going on. As soon as you sign up, you'll have access to that program. You'll learn the basics of what nutrients the body needs. We'll talk about the carbohydrates, the protein. We'll talk about all the nutrients the body needs, and then how to become resilient and take initiative and have successes and become focus on tenacity and sticking with it so that each thing becomes a habit. So anyway, and also within the program, you will be able to speak with the dietitian at any time. So let me bring this slide back up too. And just so you know, thank you for listening today. If anybody wants to join the program, I'll give you $50 off your first payment if you use the promo code JUMPSTART50. So that's just me. Like I said, there are a lot of tools out there that you can use, and you can have success, find those accountability partners. But I am starting a group class in January, on January 10th. It'll be Monday nights at 6:30. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. And I will also put a link in the chat for finding the program online. You can find it on my website at dietitianinyourkitchen.com under my group programs and classes. So these are my references for tonight, and I really appreciate you listening. And if you want to ask any questions now, feel free. Here is the link to the program. I think I can also put up, this is more information on the program. I will put that up now too, so you can see that offer. And that has the link in it too, so you can go directly to that link to sign up for the program. But ultimately, I don't care if you work with me or who you work with. I hope you've learned something from this presentation today, and you'll be able to kind of think about bad diets in the future, and why they may or may not be a good thing for you. Anything that kind of isn't something that you're willing to live with for the rest of your life is probably not going to serve you well long term. So thanks for joining me. Have a great night, everyone. And for those of you who are on Facebook and YouTube, I will go in now and check and see if there's any comments, and I will put the link and the promo code in the video for you all to see as well. All right. Have a great night, everyone. I'll stay on for a few minutes if anybody's typing any questions. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Mary. Nice to have you here, Mary. Oh, and Carrie, thanks so much for joining us. Okay, glad. I'm good motivation to get you back on track. Get back out there. Okay, it's all small